The big switch or roof?
Not the big switch.
Uh-oh. Look out. He's good.
Yeah, 61 and 96 had an early check-in.
Okay, I must have just missed it.
How do you check out, though? You got to check right, you got to check left before you get stuck in the train tracks. High-speed train. There it goes.
Well, the first thing is to just get it started.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Well, the tubes are glowing. The crowd is boisterous. It is a wet evening out here in the Central Valley of California, but neither rain nor sleet nor darkness of night nor glowing of tubes will keep us from the Old Tube Radio Network right here in Central California. 27085 the frequency, channel 11, beaconing everywhere at oldtuberadio.net, where you too can join in, tell us what radios you've been glowing in the dark with this weekend, starting with the direct-to-net roll call and finishing up with our tube radio operators sharing what's on the shelf this week. We don't know what that might be until we actually get there. The Old Tube Radio promoting the use and distributing information about Old Tube radios when we can. My name is Dennis, one of the many net controllers to sit in the air chair of the Old Tube Radio Network since, I don't know, 1986. We've been doing this a long time, and we will continue to do so as long as the radios would like to fire up. Before we get started, let me see if there are any stations that would like to get an early check-in on the shortwave listener list. Over.
24 checking in.
All right, Joseph, I've got you. 24. Stay dry out there, and thanks for joining us.
79. One element.
Okay, 79. I hear you out there, sir. Mr. DC, I've got you checked in.
195 checking in with an inch of snow up here.
As an inch of snow. They said that the snow line was going to come down below 4,000 feet, and obviously it did. So that's the first snow of the season. I think this time last year you probably had a lot more than that. So hopefully the snow shovel is ready, or it's going to be warm enough. It might not last that long. Thanks for checking in, Jim.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, and I also heard 93, 777. Jimmy, we've got you checked in. And who is Dennis? What were the two numbers that you said earlier? I think you said one of them was 60. One of them was 61. I'll get Dino checked in.
I think the other one was prune picker.
That sounds about right. So we'll get Dennis checked in as well. I want to say hello to those who are joining us at oldtuberadio.net. Dallas, Georgia, up in the balcony, Middleton, Ohio, Newcastle, Virginia, Inez, Kentucky, Toledo, Ohio, Plymouth, Minnesota, Kissimmee, Florida. Florida station's in there tonight. Hans, we'll be checking you in. Don't go away. Paradise, California, Fresno, Derby, New York, and you've got the seat tonight, Van Man, Bowling Green, Kentucky, right up here in the front row. You might be joining us via the video, so we'll say hello there. First, let me get 00 checked in tonight, and that is Gary out in Sacramento, where I'm assuming that it's probably been raining or has been raining like it is here. I'm not sure where the storm is coming from. I think it's coming from the north because it's pretty cold. Working on the 1970 VW. They'll paint it Robin T123 green with a show to match. Well, I think there's probably some place on that metal dashboard you can connect that Robin T123B and put the big 102-inch whip on the bug, and things will be good. Thanks for checking in, Gary. We'll get you on the replay coming up in just a little bit. Also, SWL1, the cosmic check-in, the X and the square as I flop my papers around, and we'll also say hello to Mr. OBP, SWL number 2, who has no traffic. You know, when it is one of these evenings, the traffic on the big street tends to slow down. I know about that. I've got a proxy check-in for SWL number 3, and Kevin's saying the sunspot numbers are up a little bit. I noticed the skip today was okay. It seemed to die out a little bit. Early. But that's not to say we won't. That's not to say we won't have. Okay, if I keep the radio transmitting here, that's not to say we won't have some E-skip. Although I don't think there was any last night on the Ditch Banks sideband. That we'll find out about that. SWL5, Mr. Rainmaker. Levon was over at Old Radio Night. All right, let me try it this way. I think that's better. Levon was over on Old Radio Night tonight. We got you checked in. Let's go to SWL7.
SWL7, checking in.
And sounding good. Hopefully the wind, the wind and rain has not created some bad things over there. You're sounding good.
So far, so good. Thank you.
All right, thanks for checking in. Let's go over to SWL 10 and 30. I see Dwayne. I see Chrissy checking in tonight. Dwayne is awaiting by the Browning and the Robin to see if he can't make a clandestine, or not so clandestine check-in tonight. We'll be listening for you, Dwayne. I just never know. You just never know when you might pop in there. SWL 11 and 12, the dynamic duo, Dan and Dapper Dan. Did someone say cornbread? Did someone say Dapper Dan? Yeah, that was me. I just said that. We've got you all checked in and hope all is going well tonight. Looking dapper and feeling dapper. I've got the pocket protector is ready. Do we have a pen tonight? They're saying we have a pen, so that's a good thing. Who's next? That goes to SWL 13. Let me refresh my comments. And you know what? I speaking of SWL 13, I saw the SWL 13 APRS beacon, the Digipeater, looking good. Mike, if you're listening, I see you there. I may have to check that out on 446 and a half and see if we can't get into the beacon here tonight. Let's go to Sangertown, SWL 14.
14, checking in.
The rain has cleared away the dust, and you are sounding good tonight. Over.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. Looking forward to it.
As am I. The old Tube Radio Network, we will be, as you just heard, that's a Tube Radio ready and waiting. We will be talking about them and checking them in tonight, coming up after the roll call. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, Sean, for checking in. All the way from tomorrow, Copenhagen, Denmark, checking in. Alpha 173 Hans is joining us tonight. Or he's joining us this morning, but he's joining us tonight here. Thanks for jumping in to the old Tube Radio Network as always. And then SWL 16, Charlie is here. Looks like everything is good. I think the lights are on. I don't smell any smoke. It is cool in the room. Open up the window. It is. I'm not sure what the temperature is outside, but it's a little bit chilly. Okay. I say Tatai is good. We're all good. Okay. Let's go to SWL 17. SWL 18, I will get a check-in for Mr. KDA, who was away from the air chair, but he did check in via Facebook. And Charles says the tie is good. It's the same one I always wear. It's the only one. No, it's a real tie. It's not one of those clip-ons. Actually, I know how to tie this one. I know how to tie this one. Don't ask me to do a bow tie. SWL 19 in the house, right behind the camera with the cue cards tonight, as always. Chet, thanks for that. I like the new pens. They're working out. They're working out great. Over to SWL 20.
Number 20 here. Please check me in. 29 and 54. And thank you, Dennis.
All right, thanks for joining us tonight. You are sounding good. I wasn't sure if you were going to be stuck out in the rain at the, what we used to say, the salt mines today, but it looks like you are good to go. So we'll expect a radio or two in the spot.
Roger. Well, I am working every day, but got off in time to be here. Every day for a month. Oh, that's bad. Okay, we will catch you later on tonight.
All right. Well, they're making sure they start out the 2024 in good shape. Who's joining us tonight? Henniker, New Hampshire, Bayshore, New York, or somewhere around that area. Let's see what's going on in Bayshore tonight. It's almost midnight. What is it, like 14 after 11? Rain and 40 degrees, which is, I think, exactly what it is here in Central California tonight. So the rain is happening all around tonight, it appears. Let's go to SWL 21. I will get Mr. JT checked in. He was on Old Radio Night tonight and is taking a much-needed rest. So 21, if you're listening in, take it easy. Where is our replay? You are on what radio? I'm not sure, but you have the wheel. You have the spinning wheel going tonight. Here's the.
Move that mic.
Let me show you what was going on. Old Radio Night tonight. Where I to find the right control here.
We're on popcorn and 390 right now.
Yeah, it's the big spinning wheel. And he also had a lot of live animals. He had chickens, live chickens, and ducks, and some other stuff. Now, we don't have...
UDX 1313, almost got mud bucket. All right, let me go to mud duck right here. Here we go.
See, that's what I want to know. Is how come we don't have... I'm talking to Charlene Shetbeck. How come we don't have a spinning wheel or something like that? They have an Old Radio Night. And he had... Did you hear the live chickens? Charlie, okay, what's that? We have, all right, we got one. Charlie says, this is our version.
Okay.
This is our version. It's not quite a live chicken. It more looks like the dead chicken here, but that's the best we can do.
Popcorn, mud bucket, here we go.
That is the best we can do on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. So we got dead chickens, no live chickens. If you want live chickens, tune in Old Radio Night. Before this program, heading out of the Wasama swamps. I'm going to say that that dead chicken has seen better days. Let's go to Tyler up in Alaska, SWL 22. I'm checking to see if sometimes he's over at oldtuberadio.net. Wearshoel, South Carolina is in. Ashburn, Virginia. Don't see Tyler. The Echolink link is up. See, Tony's there ready to go. SWL 23, the Skidoo. The Skidoo has not skedaddled tonight. I see there. What is going on? The chicken has been choked more than once. That's, where did it go? They took it away. I'm glad they did. So what can I say? Is that something that Espresso Trucking Company left behind? Maybe we can ship it back to them. Maybe is that the lead singer? I don't know. SWL 24. Joseph checked in moments ago. SWL 25.
Hello, Dennis 25 checking in, and no chickens running around here. At least not that I know of. Anyway, back to you.
All right, you are sounding good. Are you at the home QTH?
Roger. Just on a different radio.
All right, it's good. The signal is good. Everything is happening and doing good. So it sounds like you got the evening off from the usual gig tonight, and we're glad to have you along.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. It's a nice break. It really is. So I appreciate that.
All right, appreciate you being able to join us. Anybody playing the home game? We are on 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5 on the list here at 1/6/2024, even though my list says 2023. We know what it's supposed to be. Thank you, Jerry, for checking in. Over to page 2 for SWL 27. SWL 28 checked in as 00. And getting the radio into the VW and whatever else is happening. I don't know. Let me get Neil checked in. Sandhill Radio, Kakalaki, lots of rain and pretty good skip on lower sideband, fades out early. Yeah, that's what happened tonight. It was out before the sun was all the way down. Dr. Jazz, you are looking good, and we've got you checked in. Thanks for joining us yet again on the Old Tube Radio Network. Tubes will be stopping by shortly. You know, that is not a bad idea. They're talking about hiding the microphone in the chicken. I could do that with the condenser here, and then you could talk and sing into talking to the chicken. Who else is around here tonight? Dayton, Ohio. Temperatures at 34 with light snow in the home of the Hamvention. Thank you, Ricardo, for the update there. Hello, Albert and the gang. I'm going to fire up later on. I think the link up is working. We'll see if we can't say hello radio from you guys up there tonight. Also, Extreme CB007 joining us for a moment, saying not from New Jersey, soar down at the RV in Punta Gorda, Florida, broadcasting live. Well, maybe that was the Florida station I saw earlier. The ever popular. Where's the OTR? The OTR close-up cam. If you don't know about it, extremecb.com. I was listening to 27025 megahertz today. There are some good stations with some good audio that occasionally show up there. I mean, really, really good audio. So they're trying to do it right so that they are not as they could be, or as this station is sometimes, a mud duck. Anyway, 007, thanks for joining us here in the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. We are looking for, you know what? I got to get a proxy check-in for SWL 29, which I will do. SWL 30 is at the ready at the radio. Were we to get some skip from Idaho or who knows where? SWL 31, SWL 32, SWL 33, myself, Bozo Control, and whoever else might wander in here at the studios of the Old Tube Radio Network. Jimmy and the gang. I'll get you all checked in from beautiful Batavia in a railroader. And they're saying, try the whistle. All right, it never works, but that's never stopped me before. A little toot from the whistle tonight. Thank you, 34, for all you do for the many Facebook pages, keeping the two-way radios up in the forefront. Rusty Rail, Central Arkansas is checking in. Thanks for the program. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Let's say hello to Mr. Bill, SWL 35, who checked in from I think he said it was snowing up there tonight in Cheyenne, Wyoming tonight. From cool Cheyenne about an hour ago. All right, no snow. No snow on the thing. Albert, storm chasers, checking in from west central Florida. Good to see you on tonight. Let's go to SWL 36. Shortwave listener 37.
SWL 37, good evening, Dennis.
And good evening, right back. You are sounding good.
Thank you.
And we will have the radio list open if you wander back into the air chair tonight. Let's go to SWL 38. Sam is trying, but we'll get you checked in from beautiful Byron, just up the road a piece and to the right, I think. SWL 39. Shortwave listener 40.
SWL 40 checking in.
Sounding good, checking in, and hopefully it sounds like the laptop is a good find. I just got a new one as well, which I haven't installed. I've installed programs on it and things, but I haven't installed it here into the radio room yet, so I'm looking forward to that. So now you can get off of that, what do you have, Excel 95, and maybe get to Windows 7.
Yeah, the Windows 98 is really starting to slow down.
It is. No, I tried to update my OBS streaming software, and it wouldn't. It says we can't. You're running 8.1, which I am, and I said we don't update to that anymore. So I guess I'm going to have to get into the 21st century. You are sounding good.
Yeah, you might want to update that jacket too.
Well, I'm not sure if I can do an update on this. It may be easier to do the computer. And, if something works, I'm not even sure if there's an update for this, but if something works, no need for an update. I know. SWL 41, I see Mr. 507 checking in, of course, from the Hudson Valley of New York. Well, the Tri-County React stations and everyone else. Thanks for saying hello, Radio 507. I've got a proxy check-in for Mr. KW 42 over to SWL 43. And SWL 44, Mr. 360. I'll get a check-in for Ray 44. Also say hello, radio. I know you guys are probably getting snow up there if you're listening in Paul and Kelly up in North Fork, where the snow level has finally dropped to where when I get out in the morning and the sun comes up, I'll be able to look to the east and see some snow out in the Sierras and down in the foothills. That'll be kind of cool. So, Paul and Kelly, if you're listening, we miss you guys. So hopefully we can get you back in front of the microphonium soon. Let's go to SWL 46. Rusty Vale says, by all means, keep the jacket. Well, I'll see how long. If it doesn't disintegrate and just kind of fall apart, I will keep it, mainly because it's paid for. SWL 46. And hello to Brooklyn. Brooklyn rules. Good evening. 4:55 in Brooklyn, New York, waiting for Sunday to show up here. We're in the Central Valley, California, on the West Coast. Still got a couple hours before it switches over, and this is the Old Tube Radio Network. We will be chatting with some tube radio operators after the roll call. SWL 47.
Good evening, Otero from the Radio Lounge. This is SWL 47.
Radio Lounge is looking good, and I hope there are no leaks.
No, we have no leaks, and I think it's, it's 72 degrees in here, so it's really nice. I also have to add, I'm not looking online tonight, but I do love the old jacket. So if it's the one I've seen quite some time ago online, keep that jacket.
Yeah, the old tube radio night and old jacket night for the old guy that's in the jacket. So there you go. All right, thank you for joining us tonight, and all is well.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And I have to ask, since I fell asleep last week like I always do, last week was the last show of 2023. And did you do like a count of the most heard manufacturer, radio manufacturer for 2023?
You know, I did not, and I realized that after the fact, ex post facto, as we say, I did not. So I was going to do it tonight, and I started gathering all the papers like this that tell me what was going on, and I found almost all of them. I'm missing a couple of months, and I'm not sure what I did with them, so I could not do a complete tally because I'm missing a stack of the stats somewhere. So I will endeavor to look around and see if I can find that, and if I do, then I'll have an accurate account. But I'm not sure. I probably one of those things where I found a bunch of them and said, "Oh, let me put this in a safe place so that I can do this," and they're not where they were supposed to be. But I did not do that, and I was going to do it tonight, but I can't do it because I don't have all the info. So it's pending. There it goes. It's in the pending mode. Over.
That's good enough, and no, absolutely no worries.
But that is the thing. I think, you know, I think it was Phil, SWL56, who started us on that, saying, hey, how many radios are checking in? So I've been doing that for a while, and then I forgot, and then I didn't forget, so we'll try. Because there are some fans of the Trams and Browning and the Sonars and Lafayettes who really like to know how they're doing. And if you're number 2, like it is, you want to try harder. If you're number 1, you gloat a little bit. If you're number 5, then you go out and start sending people the radio so they can check in. All right, thanks. Speaking of checking in, thanks.
73.
The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. We're on page 2 of the roll call, looking for SWL 48. Heard Sam in the ditch banks last night. Look at Sammy. We'll get you checked in if you're listening. SWL 49. SWL 50. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
All right, good to hear you out in Sanger there, Dave. Sounding good on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Thanks for joining us. Who is that? Jackie saying hello to the Old Tube Radio Network friends, Tube Radio operators, all the people there. Thanks for jumping in tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. Let's go to SWL 52.
Yeah, good evening, Dennis, and to all the SWLs. SWL 52 behind the golden microphone out here in West Fresno.
All right, in wet West Fresno. I was out just a little bit before. It seems like the rain has stopped, but it is cold out there. You are sounding good. I wasn't sure if you were going to be AM, FM, or zeros and ones. So it looks like the AM tonight, and you're sounding good.
I can do both.
Yes, you can. I think you came through. The trip. I'm going to have like three little boxes to check in. All right, you are sounding good, and we have you checked in. KB6 GFD.
Thank you.
All right, I feel like a air traffic controller here sometimes. Let's go to the one and only SWL 53.
Good evening there, Dennis. SWL 53, Bel Air the Legend, east side of Fresno, checking in.
All right, and you are sounding loud tonight. You've got it cranked up and working well. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Tempo, I'm working on this mobile, so I hope it's getting out okay.
It's the mobile is doing what it should.
Bye-bye.
Page 3, got Mr. Board Jammer checked in. Let's go up the hill. I know it's snowing up there. SWL 55.
Hey, you're right, Dennis. It's snowing right now. Thank you for checking me in.
All right, the snow is coming down, so we're finally getting a white Christmas. Thanks for checking in.
So where's he at, up at Shaver or what?
He's up around Shaver area.
At the top of the 4-lane.
All right, good.
All right, and we're getting the snow at the transmitter down in just above Albury, so it's get some snowflakes on the antenna up there. Always not a good thing for your SWR, but it hasn't been like it was last year. But we'll see what happens. Where it only snows when this station picks up the giant globe and shakes it a little bit, and then the snow starts falling down. SWL 56.
Dennis and Minette, 56, just for check.
All right, sounding good tonight, Phil, and we've got the X in the square. Thanks for joining us. SWL 57, Central Kentucky, Mr. Brown Dog Audio, and I haven't looked really well at my control point here to see who I need to check in early, and I will do that. So if anybody's got an early or wants an early check-in, I will make sure that they have that. SWL 58, got a proxy for Jeremy. I think Ron reluctantly gave him one on the ditch bank, so I will do the same thing. Over to SWL 59, Uncle Hairball from his exclusive engagement over at the old Radio Night, taking the Learjet to the West Coast, so he can join us here on the old Tube Radio Network. He's checking in tonight, so hopefully you will be on the mend and do the do the slow stretch to the right. And maybe the slow stretch to the left, and find a chair that actually works. That's my problem. Sometimes sitting in a chair is not a good thing. 59 is in. Let's go across town to SWL 60. Hello, Joe.
Thank you much, here, Dennis. Doggone it, first Saturday of 2024, boy. How about that? Dennis, we're going to check in Jake's base. I think Jerry would like that. The 2527. Back to you.
All right. Jake, the 291, and it's even written in here as a valid check-in. The DX2527 radio is checking in tonight. Sounding good.
Thank you much, Dennis.
Go Tube Radio Network. Radios are coming up. Foxman 362 is in the building. Looks like you have definitely been to the little barbecue going on tonight. So thanks for joining us, 362, and hopefully one of your fave radios will get it checked in tonight. SWL 61 Dino checked in earlier. If you're out there, I'm putting the X in the square right now. Over. Probably a little bit too wet to be out in the Radio Shack. Josh is saying hello, Dennis, and I'll say hello right back. Refresh some comments. See what's going on. SWL 62. SWL 63, Butterbean in Northeast Georgia, South Georgia, North Georgia. So one of those Georgias. I got you checked in. Georgia's bigger than you think. It's all sorts of places and parts. SWL 64. And that's Craig. Craig is in from Wisconsin. I'll put the X in the square. And Mark says, Eric checked you in last time. Where is he? Well, I don't know. He's somewhere. I saw you were on the, Mark joined us on last night. Was it last night? On the Ditchbanks sideband net, which shows up on the K6USY feed. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but anyway, you can join us there. Good stuff. Let's go to SWL 65.
Break OTR.
And I will get 65. That's Eric Marshmallow checked in. Who was the break OTR over?
You got a gentleman in San Jose waving at you on the chat trying to check in.
All right, thanks, because I need a third eye. sometimes to see what's going in. Beautiful, beautiful San Jose. Who is out there in San Jose? On some stations, we have a station up in Mariposa. Sometimes they can actually hear the guys coming over the hill, but Mount Diablo and Santa Cruz Mountains. I'm not sure if we would get San Jose. I used to be able to hit the San Jose repeater. Make hops into San Jose that way. So thanks for joining us. We get some wacky e-skip backscatter. It might actually be in the zone, believe it or not. Thanks for the relay on that one. Let's go to 65 is in. Eric is in. SWL 66. Shortwave listener 67. That's Bill up in Oregon, who is no doubt listening in. He used to check in live when he was down the street and around the corner. Now it takes a little bit longer for the signal to get here. SWL 68. SWL 69. Kenny, I saw you earlier on the stream. Saying hello radio from Tulsa. So, Kenny, I've got you checked in. Let's go to shortwave listener 70. And let's see, Mike 68 did check in earlier, so I've got NY 157 in. And tonight, working the RRL RTTY Roundup. That's a lot of letters. The Amateur Radio Relay League, although I think they call themselves something different now, but it's still ARRL, the Radio Teletype Roundup. So listen for the little noises on your HF radio tonight. Maybe you will hear Stan, SWL 71, doing the thing. That's something I had and I still have it, the PK232, where I think it will allow me to do RTTY if I was smart enough to know how to be in the proper frequencies in the proper mode with the proper setup. It's time to read the manual, is it not? And hope that the 232 still works. I think it does. Let's go to SWL 72. I used to do a lot of packet with that. Back in the day, back when there was brand new, a lot of packet stuff with the 232. Very nice radio items of interest. Let's go to SWL 73.
We'll give 73 a proxy check in there, in case it's feeling.
All right, we'll give 73 a proxy check-in, Mr. Music Instructor. I was thinking about John. I was looking at my very poor excuse for a fiddle, for a violin, and thinking I should show that to 73 and see what he thinks. I know that he will recommend that I use the bow probably to stake up some tomato vines. I'm not sure what he's going to say about the actual instrument itself. SWL 74, Miss Jilly. We've got Jilly checked in. Over to SWL 75. SWL 76. Let me go to my brand new, up-to-date item and see if we're hearing from Johnson, Rhode Island tonight. Red Fox 1. Let's go to, I may be too close to actually get to the station. He only talks to those stations that are far, well, not really, but he talks to stations that are far away because they can hear him quite well. SWL 77.
Well, good evening, Dennis, and hello to all the listeners far and wide. Hope everybody's staying warm and dry and having a good weekend. And 77 here, driving the old school bus, the OCAM 88, checking in.
All right, thanks for, as they say, thanks for stopping by. I know you had to lower the antenna a little bit for the storm coming through, but it's still working good.
Thank you.
Direct internet roll call. Speaking of those tube radios, they'll be coming up shortly. Mark says the RTTY is going on right now on 80 meters. I bet it is. I bet it's probably lighting up the little waterfalls. Speaking of 40 meters, SWL 78. I talked to Richard from Wild Wildemar this afternoon on 40 meters, putting in a big single. He was about 10 over 9. So if you're listening, Richard, I've got you checked in. Official check-in from 40. SWL 79. Mr. Phillip was on the 2 meter side and also right here. Get you checked in, DC. And yeah, somebody looked at the meter, 23 Skidoo, saying he's 55 over S9. Is he transmitting from the green room? You would think. And his antenna is low. No, a 1017 is not, you would think he's in the mobile radio in the driveway here. He is down the road a piece. And that is just the station. That's the DX station that happens. That's why when he gets on the East Coast and Europe, keep him on for an hour. Big signal. So yeah, 55 over when you're a couple miles away is a pretty decent thing to do. Let's go to SWL 80. Yeah, and I agree. Tony says that's a big 4 watt. That's a big 4 watts. That is your maximum 5 watt DC input. All right, don't forget to feed the fish. Don't forget to turn over to page 4, and we'll check in SWL 81. Or try to, anyway. Yeah, even Mark says that 1017 bends the needle where he's at. Let's go to SWL 82.
82, checking in from the ditch banks of Biola. Good evening, Dennis. And putting on a heck of a show, man. You sure put a lot of work into it, and I don't know if I could ever do it like you do. But anyway, 82 checking in, and thank you, Dennis.
All right, well, thank you for checking in. Actually, you do what I do.
767, Pat.
There's the ditch bank sideband.
767, no traffic.
And listen to these great signals.
All right, Pat, sounding really good here over on the ditch banks.
So there you go. You can be part of the Ditch Banks sideband that on Friday evenings at 8 p.m. Pacific time. You'll hear that voice that you just heard. Sometimes it gets streamed at the K6USY YouTube, so you can join it there. Or if the skip is up, you can join it there with the visitors. Or if you're here locally and you haven't turned your sideband switch on your tube radio, you should do that. And talk with Ron and the gang Fridays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks, Ron.
All right, and I'll be looking at the stream, and I'll try to. Somebody's teaching me how to read, so I'll be able to read the top chat, I think it's called. So maybe I could do some announcing on that little board there on the side. All right, Dennis, thanks.
Yeah, there is a lot to do. It's a lot more than just keying up the microphonium. It takes a while. It's like being a drummer. I can't carry a tune or a beat, but I look at drummers and they got hands, foot, they got everything going. So if you're good at drumming, you'll be good at doing the net, which you are. Thanks for checking in. SWL 83. Who's that? That's JZ calling JZ. Hey, there's Richard. Going to be cold in Wildemar tonight. We got you checked in. And live and direct. Like I said, you were sounding good tonight good this afternoon on the other, whenever it was, on 40 meters when I talked to you. It was sounding good with almost 10 over. Are we on page 4? Yes. I got to keep my space here. Let's try SW. Let's try the big quadruple here. SWL 84, who was on the Jefferson Noontime Net, sounding good on his old tube Swan radio. We'll also get 86, 87, and 88, and that is, of course, the Mountain Maid Tandy Girl and the Snowy Owl. Let's go to SWL 89. SWL 90. All right. I think my foot switch is right. You know what I did is I turned it around the wrong way, and it seems to work better. SWL 91. Hello, Felix. You are looking good tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. And he's saying, of course, hello to our shortwave listeners and Old Tube Radio operators, wherever you may be. Over to SWL 90. Let's see, 91 is in. SWL 92. SWL 93, 777 checked in early. SWL 95. Do we have another Florida station out there tonight? I don't know. Hello, Warthog 95. SWL 96, Dennis Prune Pickard checked in a little bit earlier. SWL 97, Boston 97. Hello, Jim, if you're out there, I will get you checked in over. SWL 98, Tracy, get you checked in. Always good to see you, good to hear you over on the Ditch Banks sideband net on the Wednesday net. And then Radio Randy, who is listening in right now on the Universal Media NetWeb. Hello, Randy. I was busy, but I heard you, and I think it was, Mike? I'm blanking on his name. Anyway, out of Colorado, you and the Colorado station talk, and the signals were not good. I mean, you guys were coming in, considering you're running at least 10 watts, right? But the band, I should say the band was bad. Your signals were good, but the band wasn't too good the other night. So thanks for coming up the band here to 11 meters and saying hello, radio. The conditions, of course, here are not good tonight for long distance. They're good for the short distance, but that's what we like. So, Randy, one of those guys, if you have high fidelity receive, you will get a nice treat. Put on the headphoniums and listen to what that multi-band processing can do on one of those fancy radios. And he's got many from which to choose. Thanks, Randy. We're going up to the triple digits. That is a chance for me to try out and make sure that I've got it set up, get the Echo link up and running, and we'll give a call for Tony, KD4BAO from KB6GFD. Tony, of course, is in McClellanville, South Carolina. Joining us.
Good evening, Dennis. Please check in SWL 100. Back to net control, KD4BAO.
All right, SWL 100 is checked in, sounding good on the Echo link as always. And Tony heads up our TOTA, Tubes on the Air. He will get the activation started in just a minute when we start checking in the radios. Thanks, KB6GFD. Shortwave listener 102. And then I know Joey is listening in tonight on one of the various stream positions from South Carolina. Hello, Joey. Let me click the button to get 103 officially up and running on the list tonight. And thanks for jumping by and joining us. I have a feeling if we were on at midday, I'll be able to talk to you from South Carolina. All those stations always do a good job into here when we actually have the script rolling. And I missed 102. John, I see you there. Let me go back. Somehow I managed to not click you in, but there it is. That's the official 102 up in the corner there. Thanks. Thanks to John. Thanks to Joey. Let's go closer to home, up the hill through SWL 109.
Good evening, Dennis. Crawdad 109 checking in.
All right, sounds like you are safe and sound in the radio room, staying out of the weather. Signals, transmitter sounds good as always, and thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thank you.
Okay, Crawdad 109 is in. Let's go to SWL 110. SWL 111, Robert checked in via the Universal Media NetWeb early on. So, Mr. Grunt out there in Wheatley, we got you checked in. Over to shortwave listener 113. Sounding good on the ditch banks and probably equally as well here tonight. SWL 114. Hello, Wayne.
114, checking in.
Sounding good, sir. We've got the X and the swear. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dennis.
And Joey, I'll have to update. I've got South Carolina, but it's I misspoke. It's upstate South Carolina. So the Coyote out there in upstate, out there in USC, right? Upstate South Carolina. Let's go to, we're heading over to, one of our, when we started doing the streaming, the digital stuff, the digital audio, here's one of the stations that tuned in, if you call it that, right at the beginning, and is still listening in to this very day. Out in Fairfax, Virginia, SWL 128. John, I will get you checked in tonight. And thanks for joining us yet once again. SWL 131. SWL 133. Shortwave listener 135.
Dennis, proxy him in.
Okay, I will do that. Wasn't sure if it's a little too wet to go out into the radio cabana tonight or not.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. He said that earlier in the day, so I was just sitting here listening, see if he'd make it. I guess he didn't. So proxy him in tonight.
All right, well, maybe he's waving at us right now. He's listening on the Universal Media Net web, perhaps, so I will wave back. And Mr. Green Arrow will see that we actually have him checked in tonight. Very good. SWL 137. SWL 145. Tony sometimes gets us on the Echolink. Sometimes he checks in direct. Tony does the Friday, one of the nets, but on Friday mornings on the Early Risers net on 2 meters, and he often sends me the questions they use. Let me see if I can grab them here quickly. Tony, if you're listening, I got you checked in. All right, some radio-related questions. Number 1, what HF amplifier manufacturer had an amp model named after a D-Expedition? Okay, an amp manufacturer with an amp model named after a D-Expedition. Well, I'm thinking, I mean, Heathkit's called a Heathkit, and a Henry's called a Henry, and an Alpha's called an Alpha, and a Yaesu's called a Yaesu, and who am I missing here? The answer is, the Dentron. Okay, Dentron, the Clipperton L. Well, I've heard of that. I didn't know that Clipperton, I guess it was the Clipperton Islands, right? The Clipperton L was the amplifier named after the D-Expedition. Anybody have a Clipperton L? On your 5-watt DC input. Okay, question number 2. Which manufacturer of amateur radio antennas produced a ham band receiver in the early 1960s? That's a good question. Which manufacturer of amateur radio antennas produced a ham band receiver? High gain? Do they make amateur radio? That's what I would say. The answer is, okay, I was wrong. The answer is Mosley. I've got a Mosley antenna. I've got their CL33, but it's called a CM1. Somebody look that up. What is the CM1 from Mosley? But that's, Mosley's antenna. I didn't know they went into radios. And notice it sounds like they only did it once. So obviously they thought they were better at producing antennas. All right, thanks, Tony, for those questions. We are looking for, SWL 147. Neil checked in earlier from Kakalaki, saying the skip was okay, saying it was raining, like it is around here. Let's go to SWL 188.
Good evening time, Dennis. Good evening time to all the listeners. 188 checking in.
All right, sounding good. You were sounding good last night on sideband. Likewise here on AM. Snow Beast, we got you checked in. Over.
10-4, evening time.
195 up in snowy Coarse Gold. Jim checked in moments ago, and Mr. Shockwave. That's the station. That's the guy I was trying to think of. When he's up in Mariposa, when he's driving around up there, he's got a great antenna height where he can receive all over, up and down the valley, east side, west side, SWL 226. And anybody else that needs to check in, or I missed, or say hello radio. Okay, I'm going to jump out of the air chair. We're going to get everything set up, move things around, get the tube radios ready to go, and it will be that time, our favorite time on the old Tube Radio Network, as we call it, because that's what we do. We look for those old tube radios, and we will find some when we come back in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. All right, I made it back finally.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Your Old Tube Radio Network. I always forget to bring up the REA meters, which sort of tell me if my outgoing modulation is good to the shortwave listeners and tube radio operators here within the radio voice. And it looks like it is. It looks like the positive peaks are doing what they should do, and the little scope is doing what it should do, and the negative peaks aren't doing bad things. So it's always a good time for that. It's tube time. Let me see. They want me to check the pen. Today's pocket protector pen, Scotty's Service AM FM CB Paging and Communication Systems, Anderson, Indiana, East 6th Street. Thanks to Scotty and his service. Let's see if I can get the less than stellar close-up cam. They were in focus. Somebody actually focused the thing. Scotty's Service AM FM CB Paging, and it's a kind of nice little gold embossed lettering. We will place that in the pocket protector. I've got the radio on behind me, and they're just saying, Chet is saying, hold up the shirt. All right, and as always, as Bob and Steve would remind us, there it is. Don't forget to feed the fish. And then they are. And the other thing, when it's raining, and it's raining all over the place, don't forget, that really messes up the white balance, doesn't it? Anyway, don't forget to make your coax drip loop as well. I'm looking behind me, and there's no water on the floor. At least there's not rainwater on the floor, whatever it is. I have the list for the radio check-ins, and I've marked it for 2024, and I will say that the Old Tube Radio Network is listening. Over.
25. 14. 60.
All right, I have 3, and we will go in the order heard. SWL60, Joe, we will be with you. You'll be radio number 3, so check out the green room, and we'll give you a call. We'll have someone come back and escort you into the air chair. SWL14, you will be number 2 after this check-in. From beautiful Madera Heights, hello, 25.
Dennis, I'll make this real short. 25 checking in on a Holocrafter CB3A little phone on a non-powered D104. So, but this one has the extras, has the VFO and the external meter on the front that's bouncing up and down, and also has an interesting addition to the outside of the case, an extra bank of tubes, which I believe to be receive. This radio's got great receive, so I've never really torn into it and looked at the tubes to see what they are, but there's a couple tubes in there that are glowing. So anyway, that's about it, Dennis. Back to you.
All right, well, don't go away. I want you to take another transmission. I have the full screen of the Halocrafter CB3A, a very good seller for them. Believe it or not, I think there's only 7 tubes in there. Always good audio on the Halocrafters. They were known for their transmitters and their receivers, especially some of their 1940s and 50s style shortwave receivers. That one was designed by was it Virgil Exner or Raymond Loewy, one of the car aficionados, to make it look cool. The photo that we're showing has the S meter. There's the channel selector in the center. Off to the right on this one is the S meter, and then there's a rectangular black square on the other side, and that's where you would insert the receive VFO. It would bolt or screw right in there. Let me go to the close-up. There's 2 little screws. That panel comes out. You would insert, put in the little VFO dial, and then I believe there was a plug that would go in the back and plug into the radio. So accessorize your radio. If you don't have the white walls, radio and heater, you can actually buy them. So it's a way to keep the price of the radio reasonable, and then add items as you see necessary. And as Jerry said, he's got one that has both pieces, and that's rare to find. It's 8 channels. Of course, channel 11 is one of them. So back to you for transmission. I see. Is there a modulation light? It's by the channel selector. Does that thing wink and blink when you're talking over?
Absolutely. It's the orange light on the far left, lower left-hand side by the knob in there. And this particular radio has channel 11, crystal set in channel C. So that's what we're transmitting on, channel C, Dennis. And yes, the orange light is on the air, and the S-meter is bouncing up and down, and so it must be working, as my ex-German boss would say. Anyway, thanks, Dennis, for checking it in.
All right, it is working. I actually have one here in the shack gifted to me by SWL 37. It's a beautiful radio. Hallicrafter is one of my favorite companies from Chicago, Illinois, back in the day, and it's got the nice little red H logo, which I have on my FM 1000. I don't even think it's plugged in. Hold on a second. I'm going to put in. I'm going to try. I'm going to push to talk. I'm going to run over to the other. The FM 1000 may not be plugged in. It may not be plugged in. No, it's not. Is it? Wait a minute. It is. Oh wait, it is. Hear the cackle? There it is. All right. I'm going back over. That was way over on the radio desk there. That was the AM/FM radio I purchased back in 1970 from the Hallicrafters Company when I was a shortwave listener to do some DXing, and I had to rotate the dial, the volume control back and forth to get it to work. But anyway, it's still going. Over.
Glad to inspire you to flip the old switch on and sound good. Anyway, thanks, Dennis.
All right. Yeah, I would bring it to the front here, but it's way off to the side over on the workbench part, and I'd have to unplug things. But believe it or not, that is the radio I had in high school, and that I purchased. I think it was, I don't know, $19, $29. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for me back then, but it still works. It's fallen off the shelf. It's fallen off the shelf a couple of times, but it's still going strong. Hallicrafter CB3A, we just heard it is a 7-tube radio. If you go to oldtuberadio.com, there it says there's a Hallicrafter CB3A SAMS. Wait a minute, a schematic. All right, there's a schematic there. It will run, let's see, it will run 12 volts with the proper cord. It's in SAMS CB5, page 5, and they sold in 1963 for $160. So it was sort of a medium, lower-priced radio, but Hallicrafters was already known in the amateur radio field for shortwave receivers and some very nice transmitters. HT32, 37, they made a 2,000 watt PEP. I think it was the Hurricane. So a great company and a great radio to have. We haven't had many Hallicrafters stop by. So thank you, Jerry, for that. The Old Tube Radio Network, let's go to another radio before we do the Jingle Singers. Before we do the Jingle Singers, let's say hello to Sangertown. Over.
Yeah, SWL 14, checking in on my Browning Mark III. And I wanted to say that Jerry was making a really good trip out to Sanger tonight. The radio sounded great out here.
It did, and he is way north. He's over the hill by that giant giraffe. By the hospital. So he's got a great location. He's got a good antenna, and I'm always amazed for how far away he is, how well he does on this signal. So what was the model of your Browning again? Over.
Yeah, I'm on my Browning Mark III SSB radio tonight with the red bozo knob on the receiver.
All right, the red bozo knob on the receiver. I'm going to find in the Rolodex a photo of the Browning Laboratories, but it doesn't have. I don't think I have one that shows a red bozo knob. So you may have a one-of-a-kind item, but I do want to get a shot. If someone is watching for the first time and is not familiar with the Browning setup, it's a transmitter and a receiver paired together. If you put them side to side, you'll have about 3 feet of radio. It was one of the top-of-the-line units, very expensive. You can see lots of knobs and dials, a tunable receive, and of course, per the FCC, a crystal-controlled transmit, and it actually does sideband, does it not?
Yeah, it does, but the contact, sometimes when you jump over to sideband, it doesn't like to go back, so you got to fiddle with the knob. So I don't really drive it down on sideband. Plus, there's really no action on sideband on these channels that it has. This radio, I also have a unamplified D104 microphone paired with it.
Yeah, on the Brownings, you really typically don't need the amplified microphone. They just had tons of audio, and it was Browning audio that's tailored through some capacitance to make it sound nice and punchy, not too many lows, lots of mids and lots of highs to punch through the ether. It's doing a good job. Yeah, it's just like my Hallicrafters there. Sometimes it's best to, if you don't turn it on in a while and you get it to work, you don't mess with it. The Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from 1972 until 1975-76, when they had to do the 40-channel thing. These radios now, back in the day, 10 years earlier, you could get the Hallicrafters for $160. Move up 10 years, and now you're shelling out $750, maybe $800 for these radios, brand new, and they will cost you that probably if you buy them today, not brand new. You're putting in a great signal. Let me take another transmission. I'll bring up the S meter so you can give yourself a radio check on the replay. Over.
Yeah, I really like this radio. It's not the prettiest radio. It was well used. Whoever had it previously really enjoyed the way it sounded as well. Tonight it has a great receive. I have no noise out here, and it's one of my favorite radios to listen to. And when I listen to it back on the program, I really like the sound it produces. It was a radio that had a heavy smoker. The radio stunk so bad I could hardly stand it, and so it was one that a guy couldn't really get a lot of money for due to the condition, but it cleaned up. It doesn't stink anymore after a lot of run time, and really a good radio.
It is a good radio on the receive. It is a good radio on the transmit. We had the S meter going on, a good solid S9 signal. The audio is the way it should be. For a Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, AM and sideband. That they have an AM version of that, by the way. The transmitter's not quite as big, but you could, I think, probably for about $200 lighter, get yourself the AM version. But I think most people opted for the sideband version, and they were built quite well because there are still a lot of them left around, like you have, and they take a licking and keep on ticking. Thanks for bringing it by. You are radio number 2. Good to hear you on this Saturday on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, and possibly might be warming up another one here.
Okay, that is good. We will be here for a while, so we'll do that. We are going to head over to the Jingle Singers. Is that what we're doing? Okay, we're going to head to the Jingle Singers, and then, Joe, I've already got you in as Radio 3, so come on up to the air chair, but don't take a transmission just yet. And who is that? Jim. And Jim said, okay, wait a minute. Says I missed. Look at that. Look at that. I'm glad that somebody is watching out for you. Yeah, Chuck and Charlie and Chet were giggling. They say, don't tell him he doesn't know how to put the damn pin in the pocket protector. Says, hey, you missed your pocket. Okay, let's try this again. This is take two, as we say in the biz. Take two. Dennis puts the pin from Scotty's service into the pocket protector. Boom. All right, there it is. Too much stuff in there. I've got the little greenie and everything else. All right, that's better. So I'm only going to be a fool for about 10 minutes on the video. I say, what's wrong with that guy? All right, thanks. Who was that? Thanks, Jim, for letting me know. It's like, is there a kick me? Look in the back. Is there a kick me sign on the back of my jacket? I don't know. All right, let's go to the Jingle Singers, and we will be back with another radio on your old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you and maybe even you, the Old Tube Radio Network. Back to the studio we go, and we will say hello, radio. Hello, Joe. What have you got for us today? Over.
Thank you much, Dennis. I'd like to check in the Cadillac of my radios. I got the Messenger, Johnson Messenger 223. And we've been warming it up here a while, so I'm not quite sure if she's ready. And we are on the original stock mic with the Johnson emblem.
It keyed up, or is that keyed down? It keyed without incident, so you warmed it up well. The Johnson Messenger TWO, the flagship radio from Johnson before they came out with the solid state 123 and the 223, which is basically, that's what this radio is. It's a 223 minus. I'll get the shot here right. 223 minus the 23 channels, but it does have a 23 channel receive, rotating the little knob there. Talk about simplicity. Talking about, we just need to make a radio that sounds good, works well, and gets you on the air. There is no doubt that this is the equivalent of the Chevy Nova, the Dodge Dart, who was it that had the Volkswagen Bug. It is basic transportation, but does it get you there in style? Take a transmission.
Yeah, thank you much, Dennis. A handsome-looking radio. 10 tubes. I think it has 10 tubes in it. The rotating dial, 23 channels. Excellent meter. Good size, easy to see, and it's all in one little box area, and a couple of knobs. Now, this isn't 12 volt. This is strictly AC base, and I think it would look sharp on somebody's desk.
It does, whether it's on a desk, and do I have a ad here? Oh, it's not in there. They have one where there's actually sitting on a desk in a business office setting, like Unit 1 to Unit 2. So yeah, it'll look good wherever you are. And the main thing is that it sounds good as well, with no problem. The Messenger 2 also had the ability to use, if you plug the cable in the back, the E.F. Johnson tone call. And as we said a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the history, the 100-year history from 1923. So coming up to 101 history of E.F. Johnson, Edgar Frederick Johnson out of Waseca, Minnesota. And working, I think making a good call to get into the 11 meter. I mean, they did well with that. We've talked to Larry out there in Minnesota himself that worked at the Johnson factory in the 80s. He said it was a great place to work. I think the one caveat he said is just check your crystals. Said Johnson was notorious for having crystals on off frequency, but I think you're close. Go ahead and take a transmission. We'll see where you're at. Over.
Well, we'll give you a little test shot there on.
Look at that.
Frequency counter there. Like I said,
he's right on.
We are talking on the original
right on.
Johnson desk mic, and it's a pleasure to check this one in for the year 2024. I think first time this year.
Well, it's a pleasure to check it in, and when I switched over to the zero beat, you were right there. I didn't have to touch a thing, so you don't have to worry about your crystals, what frequency you're on, plus or minus. It is sounding good all the way around. Radio number 3 tonight, from Edgar, was it Fitzgerald? Edgar Frederick. I'll get it right. Edgar Frederick Johnson, E.F. Johnson, Waseca, Minnesota. The TWO sounding good. Thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Okay, you lost me there when you said TWO. I'm on the 223. Doggone it. How should I say? Correction accepted. No problem. Okay, Dennis, thank you for checking this. Let me check this one in, and I've got a couple more I'd like to check in.
All right. Well, let me for our listeners, go to the proper page. So what we do is we take the radio that I've got, the Messenger TWO, and E.F. Johnson said, Edgar said, if we've got something that's this good, how can we improve on it? Well, you don't have to do too much. All you do is you add 23 channels. You put an S meter, which is missing, and as we saw before, the other radio was pretty plain. This one's a little bit fancier, nice metal case, and it's built like a tank. I've got one behind me. Put the speaker right in the front, make some nice decorative knobs, and give yourself 23 crystal controlled channels, and away you go. But it's basically a Messenger TWO, kind of sideways in the box. But you are right, that was indeed their flagship radio from 1969 to 1972. And in that time, they started doing a lot of solid-state radios as well, mobile radios, the 323 and the 123. This radio, by the way, about $200. If you added the microphone, and there was a microphone that actually came with it that said the E.F. Johnson on it, you could add that microphone for another. Let me see. I got a shot here that shows the microphone. There it is. It said Johnson right on the key bar. You could add that in for another $15, and you were good to go. So they're doing a good job. E.F. Johnson Messenger 223, also spelled out TWO 23, and doing a good job. And I've made the correction. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Dennis. Doggone it. Yeah, like you say, it's all up front on this radio. What you see is what you get. There is no modulation light. Excellent 4x4 inch speaker in the front. And very simple. Just remember that when you're turning it on from the squelch. And the volume is all by itself. Okay, Dennis, thank you. And I'll get another one checked in. And the mic and the radio are the same color base. They're like a beige color. Well, this one is. Anyway, thanks for letting me check this one in.
All right, it's my pleasure. That is why I'm here, sitting in the air chair. My duty is to check in as many of the classic tube radios from 1958 when the FCC banged the gavel and said, yes, there's a Class D citizen radio service, go. To 1978 when there was still a citizen band radio service with 4 million people on it, and no more tube radios being produced or being manufactured because solid state was the way to go, at least everybody thought. But we adore the tube radios, and we appreciate our collectors. You are listening to OTR. The Jingle Singers will tell you a little bit more, and we'll be back to see what we can't find Radio 4.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
And we are standing by.
Number 714.
All right, we've got Radio 4 and 5 on the line. Radio 5 from SWL 14. We'll catch you in the green room, Sean. Don't go away. And up to Radio 4, down the road, not too far. Okay, are we transmitting? Yes, we are. Not too far away. And sounding good, Mr. Ed, over.
Thank you. Would like to check in the old Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB.
All right, the Brownings are wasting no time tonight, jumping out as the most heard radio for 2024. And like I mentioned before, when I can find all the appropriate sign-in sheets, we'll see if they didn't have that distinction in 2023. They are always certainly in the top 3, but sometimes there are other radios as well. The Mark III, as we noted, separate transmitter, separate receiver, all 23 channels. And let's see, if I'm not mistaken, on the Mark III receiver, they'll actually, it allows you to listen to all 40, is that right?
Oh, yes, all 40 and a bit more than that. It goes up to over 590 something, or 580 something. I forget what it is all the way up there.
Yeah, and there was no issue with the FCC. Obviously, at that time in 1972, a lot of people were using, and in fact, the shot shows one, a VFO. Connecting a VFO instead of crystal control, which the FCC wasn't too happy about, and going on the channels above 23, which was not an okay thing to do according to the Federal Communications Commission, but on the receiver, not a problem. You can make a receiver, basically a shortwave receiver with any frequency you want. Didn't have to be crystal controlled, so they were smart enough to say, well, let's do that. I think that was a good selling point for them. It's sort of like, well, the channels are already there. All you have to do is, is modify that transmitter. And you're good to go, which people were doing anyway with the other radio sets. Yours, as always, sounds good, and I think you are, like you said, you're on the Golden Eagle microphonium as well, Ryan.
No, actually, I'm on the Banana microphone at this time.
Okay, I've got to get my ear, because there's a definite sound between, I think, the EV Banana microphone, which I think was more standard with the radio and the D104. Of course, the Banana microphone pulls out of the bass, easier to kind of manipulate around to get the sound of the ping. The ping, of course, is the sound of your very own transmitter being heard by the receiver as the receiver capacitance slowly drains away, and you get well, we would call it in the biz feedback, but somehow it's known as the ping. Over.
There you go. I have it on the short ping at the moment. I have to reach back behind and make it do a screeching thing.
The Screaming Eagle for sure. 1972 to 1976, I think. I don't have the tube count in front of me. We'll check with Harvey when he gets in. I want to say that radio has 18 tubes, 21 tubes between the two units. It is packed full of tubes, so if one were to actually retube that whole thing, it would cost you all of your lunch money and then some.
Yes, it definitely has a pack of tubes, more than anything else I have around, as a matter of fact. Brownies seem to be able to pack in more tubes than anyone else.
But they all sound good, and they all have a purpose. You can get by with 7 tubes in the Helicrafters, but why not times that by 3 and get yourself a Browning Golden Eagle of some vintage, like the Mark III. Put up the S meter. You can give yourself a radio check on the replay, a good 20 over, and then introduce some modulation with a good forward movement on the meter. Radio number 4, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Sounding good. Thanks for bringing it by, Mr. Ed.
And thank you.
And it is as Tony says, it is a big radio. And then there's another one. There's like 2 of them, and just one of them is the size bigger than most of the base radios back at that time. You had a separate receiver and transmitter. I guess they're easy to work on too. Nice space. It's like having that. That big General Motors front end, and you raise it up and you can see all the engine and you can see everything else. It's more styling than engine. Let's go. I want to say hello to Josh, also to 421 out in central Iowa. And Dwayne says, Chrissy is having Robin withdrawals. Where are the birds tonight? I would say, where are the birds tonight in 2024? That's a good question. Also, Sean, go ahead and step up into the air chair. I'm going to get Mike, SWL 13, checked in. He is waving hands, so I'll get him on the list. And I wanted to say I see your beacon on the APRS. I will have to see the digipeater there. The Yango.
21 tubes, Dennis. 21 tubes.
The Yankee Tango Golf beacon, looking good, 13. And I see your frequency. I'll have to check out. And you heard in my ear, in your ear too, from the crossband, 21 tubes. Thank you, Harvey. Sort of like the assistant producer coming in and telling you, trying to make you sound good. All right, let's go over to radio number 5 out in Sangertown. Hello, Sean.
Yeah, hello, Dennis. SWL 14, checking in on my Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV.
Okay, so we mentioned that the Mark IIIs went to 1976, and I'm sure they would have gone, especially for Browning, who probably didn't want to retool and move things around, and they were already having a tough time of it at the laboratories, and probably would have been just as well to keep what they had, but they had to appease the FCC, get 40 channels, and stop producing the 23-channel radios, and so this was their last effort, their last hurrah. And there are, believe it or not, there are some 23-channel Mark IVs around, but we'll check with Sean. I do believe this is a 40-channel that he has as well. And it sounds good. For some of the Eagle collectors say this is their favorite radio. Over to you.
Yeah, it's the Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV 40-channel version, and I have it paired with a Silver Eagle amplified D104 microphone, just the way the guy gave it to me, and I think it sounds pretty good. Tonight is an exceptional night for the CB radio out here. I could even hear Joe earlier out here in Sanger on the Mark IV, which I don't think is the finest receiver I own, but I do really like the radio. It's what got me into tube radios.
Yeah, all of us have our radio that was, got us in, or we knew somebody that had one, and that's what we wanted to do. So the Mark IV, I'll share a picture. There are a lot of them out there, believe it or not. And this photo is from, oops, and there it goes. It was from, I don't know where it was from. Wherever it was from, oh, there it is. It went away. It was from Wayne Duggar. So the one we're showing is now. Let me go back to that. Give Wayne a shot there. Good deal. All right, the Mark IV in a shelf. He's got it one on top of the other, but on a shelf. Looks like a little amplification going on. It's sounding good. This one has nice audio. This is not overdone. It's not in your face audio, but it's nice and loud, and it's got a good punch to it. Over.
Yeah, thank you. The guy that gave it to me was from Missouri, and he was a truck driver, and he really cherished this radio, so he gave it to me because he saw me with my mobile CB, and I was talking to my kid at the house down at the market, and so that's how I ended up coming across the radio. He handed it on to me, and it is a nice radio. One day I surely would like to get a picture of it. That way we could have that on the YouTube. It's in real good condition, and the Silver Eagle microphone really sets it off. And of course I have a nice Browning Eagle Club member pin that Harvey gave me sitting on top of the radio.
The Eagle Club pen, I will show that. I've got one here. Here's another one, and this is from Ben Jeffers. This is a nice setup here. It's the stacked side by side. It's got the Golden Eagle Mark IV-A badge. It definitely does have the eagle on the speaker. Definitely a different look than the Mark III, with some different, and you mentioned before, I guess, some extra settings on, and I want to say it's the receive dial, where if you spin it a little bit faster, it'll go faster. I can't remember what they did to that. Over.
Yeah, it has a scan rate underneath the channel selector, and you can go from 1.5 to 6.5, whatever that is. But it makes the knob go faster. It either speeds it up or down, because you turn it one way or the other, it'll either fly through the channels or move like a tortoise.
And that is good. I think if you were running sideband, you would appreciate that, the slow tuning to get somebody right in. So maybe that's what they had in mind when they did something like that. All 40 channels, they went to the digital or the LCD display on the transmitter, but they kept the big meters and still the good sound and the good speakers as well. And they even had a Browning. I think this one is showing a 776, but Browning had a different microphone that you could pair with this as well. The Mark IV, I want to say the price on these, the Mark IV and the Mark IVA, were probably close to $850, maybe even $900. You will sound good no matter what microphone you use, how you talk. If you just want to say 11111 into your radio, you will do it in style on a Mark IV. Back to you.
Yeah, appreciate that. I enjoyed the guest that was on there. I watched the channel on YouTube, and I saw he had his Mark IV in his RV transmitting on the road mobily, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Frank from extremecb.com, 27085. In fact, he joined us early tonight from the RV back. He's not in New Jersey. It's probably someplace where it's a little bit cooler. And you mentioned, and let me pull it up so people can see what it is that you have on your radio as well. You should. Right, to go to the right camera. There it is. The Browning Golden Eagle Club member badge. And this is a nice big badge. You can actually wear it, pin it to your respective self, or it's got a nice little stand thing on the back. So if you're, and Browning had all sorts of little coffee cups and cigarette lighters and all sorts of little things that you could get to add to your radio collection. So something you want to have. Radio number 5, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV, and it's just, like I said, signals are good, S-meter sound looks good, and the sound is great. So thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Appreciate the show, and thank you for 2024, the OTR.
Oh, and one last question. I think somebody asked, do you have... Ed was able to adjust the ping length on his. There's probably a switch. Do you have any built-in trickery on your ping? Over.
No, I think this radio, when it came out, it actually didn't have a ping, and you had to jump something or other to give it a ping. And Harvey said he could make it do all kinds of stuff, but I just wanted to leave it just like old Neely Keeney had it, and keep it like that.
All right, well, it does have one, probably an FCC thing. They said, hey, can you guys do something about that? He says, yeah, we'll do something about that. Just don't cut the red wire. It sounds good. I like the way you're orchestrating it. It bespeaks the way I remember them, 50 years ago, more than that, when you heard the ping and someone had the top-of-the-line radio before they even said a word and told you what they were talking on. Thanks for bringing it by.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis.
The Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark. We are on channel 11, that's 27085, live and direct here in the Central Valley of California. We are streaming at oldtuberadio.net with some audio. There's a link there to go to the video. And we do this pretty much every Saturday evening, beginning at 8 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. our tube radio operators and collectors and shortwave listeners here in the area help us out, keep us on the air, and it's a good time. It's the way a lot of us who were on CB back when these radios were brand new remember it, and that's sort of what we try and recreate here. Let you know there is still somebody out on the radio, and it is still easy to have a good time and keep it a family type of thing. The Jingle Singers. Where are we going? Okay, and then we'll be right back.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
Did somebody say wonderful Fresno? We're listening for radio number 6.
I know you know what radio this is. SWL 60. Wanted to check in?
Yeah, 60. See, now that is why I, as a net control operator of some experience, should have known when you keyed up, or is it keyed down? When you started transmitting on the other E.F. Johnson and it came right on, that indeed was a portent, indicative that it was the 223. And this one has a little stutter step. And so now I will go back to I put a little post-it mark on it, to the Rolodex of the E.F. Johnson Messenger TWO, and without the 20 and the 3 somewhere in there. And we'll put up the picture and we will start again. It is sounding good. Once you get that thing running, once you get a little bit of smoke coming out of the tailpipe there, it's good to go. Over.
Oh boy. Yeah. I tell you what, Dennis, I wish I could hear the other end of this key-up situation. But I'll tell you what, though, they aren't shy of speakers. They have excellent speaker sound and speaker size. And this one here is 10 tubes, 10 channels, and a few decorative parts on the front. Good-looking radio. I'm running a D104 power mic.
Sounds good. Nice, clear audio. It is good high fidelity, good low fidelity, not overdone, no flat topping, no distortion. I don't even know if they had limiters in there. You really don't need them. That's a nice thing about the tube radios. The audio is good. You pretty much had a lot of headroom to run it loud if you wanted, but if not, you've got a good, semi-broadcast quality, certainly communication quality, broadcast quality sound out of it, just the way it should be if you're listening to good old AM. That's why we listen to that, 6 kilohertz wide AM as well. Doing good with its 10 channels. You are right, I'm going to do that. Oh, and hello to X4000 checking in from the other side. Normally he's busy. He's busy with Stan Freeberg and Billy May and the top of the hour IDs. But it's always nice when X4000 kind of jumps off of the production crew and comes out to say hello to us. And complimenting me on the Sears suit. I don't know if this is actually a Sears. It's a Sears sucker suit, because I'm the sucker that bought it at Sears. 169.95, 10 tubes, 12 volt DC, 115 volt AC, and it does it all with the plug-in on the back. The Messenger 2, also known as the 242-162 from E.F. Johnson. And I like the way you're running that thing. It sounds perfect. Edgar Frederick would be proud. Over.
Yeah, I imagine he would be there, Dennis. A little different from my other messenger. You look at the first messenger, you're looking at something wide and sleek and like I said, a handsome radio. Now this one here, you kind of got a narrow front, but a run to the back. What a difference in radios. But like I say, nothing taken away from these radios. Speaker and speaker sound. You sound great on it. And it's a well-lit radio in the front, and doesn't take much room up if you're tight on a space. But doggone it, it's a good-looking radio. It does have not a modulation light. I always say that it lets you know you're on, but it has a tendency to blink. And I don't know if that's from the modulation or maybe the old tubes inside. Maybe they're rattling a little bit.
Yeah, little pieces and parts can come loose in there. At least you can look through the case. I think it's got the meshed case. You can kind of look down and see the tubes glowing, and good for airflow. You didn't need a fan put in that. And as the ad says from 19-something, it's that new modern styling. Got that new modern styling, sort of like the Rambler Classic had in 1964 when they got rid of the fins or something. I don't know. Excellent adjacent channel rejection. That's the other Messenger. The Messenger one did not have excellent adjacent channel selection. I would go to channel 11 and I would hear the guys on channel 10 with no problem. Working good base or mobile. And they have a whole big write-up on the thing from E.F. Johnson, Waseca, Minnesota, USA. And they looks like they did have a 6-volt version as well that you could get. This is a Canadian ad, so I'm not sure if they had a different channel designator for Canada. I think they did, but here in the U.S., and you've got the U.S. version, it's doing well. Back to you for transmission. Always good to have the Messenger TWO. Always good to see an E.F. Johnson or two on the chart. Over.
Well, thank you much, Dennis. I appreciate it. And this one here, as long as it's on the old channel C and the selector's on 11, we're doing okay. Thanks a whole lot, Dennis, for letting me check this one in. I've got one more warming up.
All right, it's a good thing we have space on the radio list here, first radio list of 2024. And again, I will look to see if I can find those missing radio sheets to see if we can to determine who were the possibly top 5 radio manufacturer check-ins for 2023. If not, you can guess, right? Just if your favorite radio is the RCA CRM 25X, you can say, well, I know I heard one check-in one of those times. Okay, who is that? Hey, Ralph, Crash 350. Been a while since you waved. That's true, from Western Pennsylvania. Hoping everyone had a great holiday. We did. And you always know on a Saturday evening, whether you're far away and it's Sunday morning, or it's late Saturday evening, or maybe you're, it's just turning into Saturday morning where you're at, you can jump in live here on the Old Tube Radio Network and say hello. We've been around for quite some time. Thanks to our Tube Radio operators and listeners, we are standing by and listening for radio number 7.
Number 7?
Number 7. I hear an echo. Number 7. Did I hear number 7 for Radio 7? Number 7 for Radio 7, over?
Yes. Number 7 with Radio 7 being a Tram TR27E.
Okay. Well, this will help Chrissy, SWL10, who, although she hasn't heard from her favorite bird tonight, at least I think we can at least guarantee her that there's going to be some greenery coming up. Let me put the 27E up to the picture and take a transmission. Over.
Yes, it is large and it is definitely green. Well, actually teal, but yeah, it's kind of greenish. Big 5x7 speaker. Nothing small about the radio. Nice big S meter. Don't even need glasses to see it.
Which is a good thing. And think of a Browning, but they were able to put it all in one box, probably about the size, maybe a little bit bigger than the transmitter or a receiver back in the day. So why not put it in one box? But you've still got a separate transmitter and receive function, and you've got the spot switch. No way to make it ping, but that's okay. Got your external receive crystal if you want it, and like you said, the big meter and the nice big front firing speaker to make the receiving station sound good, I hope.
Yes, the 5x7 definitely does a pretty decent job. The Browning Golden Eagle and the Tram are probably pretty close to equal in the way they sound as far as reception goes. So, yeah, really good.
Indeed. And John, let's see. Oh, you guys are listening. You're over at the over the unit there, listening to OTR. Well, that's nice. So, Lady 102 says hello, radio, or we'll say hello, radio back to 102 from the old Tube Radio Network. Probably one of the best places to be on a Saturday evening, for you to be able to join us like you are. So we appreciate that. The Tram TR-27E, a radio from 1963. So think of it like a vintage car show. You know when you drive by and you see those classic cars with the great styling? Here you go. Same thing with the radios. They had designing engineers that said, let's put dial here, let's make this green, let's make the knobs come out and have knurled inserts. A lot of thought went into the design and style of these radios. That's one of the classic things we like. And then, of course, with the tube radio sound as well. And thanks to our radio operators, we get to parade them around a little bit here on Saturdays. Back to you. You know what? I haven't done a frequency check on that Tram in a while. Put up the S meter and take a transmission.
And also a classic microphone attached, the Electro Voice 638 microphone.
That's right, the microphone, the choice of, back to the radio here, the choice of Collins collectors everywhere. All right, well, I was a little surprised, but maybe we knew that. 83.9, so about a KC low, and then some, but I'm running a super wide AM listening filter here. And I don't notice a thing. That's got some great audio, so I think you've got some more room to move around on frequency and still sound good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I knew it was a little bit off. Tried a couple of different crystals, but this is about the closest I could get, so we'll just have to go with that.
Yeah, not a problem. And they always sound good. A tube radio that's a little off frequency, when you're during skip, always sounds good because you can hear that heterodyne. You can hear it kind of key in and move around, and you can kind of dial in on it. It gives that, for those of us who've listened to 40 over a skip for the last 30 or 40 years, that's sort of the fun thing. It's just all the stations, and then you hear that one that's a little bit off frequency. You can dial in and say, yeah, okay, probably running a tube set. Radio number 7. From shortwave listener number 7, he has sat in the net control air chair a couple of times himself. It's sounding good. Thanks for bringing it by.
And thanks for checking me in.
Jingle singers, yeah, we'll do that. We've got a little time to grab a few more radios if you wish before we sign off tonight.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
Listening for radio number 8.
14.
60. 47.
And bringing up the rear, you know who.
All right, so we've got 14, 60, 47, and 20. Let me see if I wrote this right. So, Harvey, don't go away. You will be in the double-digit radio category, and likewise for 40... Sorry about the transmitter not keying here. Likewise for 47... SWL 60, enter the green room. You'll be after this guy from Sangertown, radio number 8. And I'm trying to think what you have left. We had the Brownings, so there's another radio in Sangertown. Hello, Sean.
Yeah, SWL 14, checking in a Cobra Cam 88 tonight.
Oh, that's right. There's a couple of those hanging around here in the Central Valley, so let me clear the rig that's up there. And now here's a radio that's a little more attainable. If you are looking for your first CB tube radio to get in your collection, the EF Johnson 223 is always a good candidate because there were a lot of them around and you can still find them, and the prices are good. And here's another one that always sounds good, built like a tank, but not super expensive if you're looking for something to put on the shelf for the first time. And we'll put up the full screen. It's the Cobra Cam 88. Over to you for a transmission. How does it compare to the Browning? Maybe that's not fair, but I mean receive-wise anyway. Over.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. As far as the receive, I like the tone of this radio the most. But the thing I don't like is it doesn't have the most sensitive receive. You are real like a S3 on this radio, whereas the Brownings it's a S7. Joe, I can't hear him. The odd thing about that is I was fiddling with it, and when I switch it to PA, it actually picks up a little more sensitivity on the receive, and I was able to hear Joe.
Interesting. Maybe there's just some contact issue on the switch, but that's a good comparison. You've got the radios there, and we've got stations that are 6 miles away, 20 miles away, at different altitudes. So that's a good A-B in comparison. But when it comes to receivers, the Tram and the Browning for selectivity and sensitivity are very hard to beat. They were basically up to par with any, I would say, amateur radio receiver of the day, and that's why you paid a little bit extra, because they used the Collins mechanical filters and some other component part trickery to keep them sounding good, where you to pay the premium price, but you do. The Cobra Cam 88, transmit-wise, definitely has a good sound. Full fidelity. For anybody that's into high-fidelity audio, you will definitely be pleased with the Cobra Cam 88. Maybe not so with the Browning Golden Eagle because of what they do. But if you want that full sound with the Cobra Cam 88, it will be no problem to do that. We're showing two. One of them has the range expand, I believe it's called. It's a switch under the mod light. One of them does not. There were two different versions, and I can't remember which one you have. Over.
Yeah, my radio has the modulation light, and it has the Dyna boost switch, which I have that active right now. And this radio also has the stock B&K microphone. And one more note on the receive. This radio has a lot more bass as far as the speaker goes, because I immediately had switched it from the Eagle to the Cobra, and the Jingle Singers, they have a lot more bass and punch on the speaker with this radio.
All right, that could be by design too, because Browning did the same thing with their transmitter. They rolled off below 200 hertz because that's for communications and punch and over the airwaves. Those are the frequencies that typically make it through. They might have done the same thing for their receiver as well, roll off a little bit of the low frequency. I don't know if they gave you a tone control on that or not. I know Tram did. Cobra probably didn't do as much filtering. So were you to put an external speaker on that, since the receiver is passing the frequencies, you might be even more amazed. You might like the Jingle Singers even better, but we all love the Jingle Singers. Radio number 8, the Cobra Cam 88 with the, thanks for the update, Dyna Boost switch, 23 channels, no waiting. One of the two, I think, tube radios that Cobra made before they went solid state back in the early 70s, B&K Dynascan. Again, if you're looking for a first radio, you probably cannot go wrong trying to find one of these. Back to you for transmission. Thanks for bringing it by tonight. You got the triple play. That hasn't happened in a while, so that's a good thing. Over.
Yeah, I stepped away from the radio for a little bit during the holidays with family time, and really happy to be back this weekend and get everything lit up and glowing and cook the dust off.
All right, and one question. Hans, thanks for asking that. It says, what was the power supply for the Cobra Cam 88? So do you have a plug you plug into the wall and plug into the radio? Separate cord like that, or is it base only like the Johnson, the Messenger 223? It doesn't go mobile. So I'm assuming that could go 12 volts, and that would be indicative if you are able to pull the cable, the cord out of the back.
Yeah, I haven't done anything other than use the wall plug, and actually when I look at it now, I notice it has a switch back there. I'll have to investigate that more. It might have an extra feature I'm unaware of.
Okay, well, if it runs 12 volts, then it would have the connector like a Jones plug-in back that would come out, and you'd have another cable that would have the two, the DC, the plus and minus for the DC. If it's wired into the radio, then it's a 117 only, which I don't think it is, but I checked my notes and it does not say. Does not say. So the other thing is it has that look, and the other thing, if you see a mobile bracket on it, that's probably a good indication that you could stick it into the Buick. All right, thanks for radio number 8, the Cobra Cam 88.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. I think your dash might end up on the floor if you hung this from it. But yeah, appreciate the time tonight. Looking forward to all the other radios. A great start to the new year.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. A lot of people are coming out in 2024 with the hope that it is a good radio year. Speaking of a radio year, radio number 9, stepping up in the air chair. Hello, Joe. I'm writing you down. What have you got for us? Over.
Thank you much, Sir Dennis. This evening, I would like to check in from World Radio Labs, My Hustler. This will only take a couple of minutes. There's only a half a radio here. 7 tubes, 8 channels, Dennis. We're on a Turner Plus 3 desk mic.
Again, I want to say, and I hope our SWLs notice this, on how good all the audio sounds tonight on the radios. Not overdriven, not overmodulated, just easy talking into the radio. Sometimes you have to talk a little bit louder if you're on a stock microphone. I think the tube radios were good for that, but it also speaks well of our operators. With microphone techniques, and just the fact that if you need to communicate, you don't have to turn the microphone way up, you don't have to do any trickery stuff. Let the radio work. Put on a good microphone, or the microphone that came with it, and let the radio do its job, and you will be surprised. The World Radio Lab Hustler. We talked a little bit about last week about the Rustler. This is indeed the Hustler, the real deal. 7 tubes. Madman Muntz must have got into this radio and said, let's just keep pulling out the tubes, and when it stops working, we'll put that tube back in and be done with it. Over.
They must have hit it right on the nail on the head, like they say. Doggone it. Dennis, 7 tubes, and she works as hard as any radio that I really have here. We enjoy keying this one up. Here's a few things in the front there that a guy can look at to entertain himself with that tunable receive and your little channel selector and a little slot there for your extra channels, which we haven't played with yet. And the spotter, while the spotter switch is still a little mystery to me. Other than that, maybe towards the back, there might be a thing or two back there, but really don't get back there at all. It is a fully dressed radio. She has all the hardware, and she's got her little mic hanger, and she's just ready to go. If you would like to drag her along and maybe hook her up in the car and go.
It was made for that. World Radio Labs, WRL, also kind of morphed into the Globe. Anybody has a Globe CB radio, Same company. They supplied amateur radio equipment, thanks to Leo Meyerson, W0GFQ, but they also did 11-meter radios. Anybody from Iowa? Council Bluffs, Iowa is where we find World Radio Labs. So we go from Burbank to Iowa to Waseca. A lot of good made in the USA radios. That was the thing. Back in the 50s and 60s, companies that come out, put these radios together, start a company, and it all worked. And then things kind of changed, but we're glad to be able to bring back that part of history in two-way communications. Thanks, Joe. Radio number 9 is sounding good from the Hustler and World Radio Labs, one of our fan favorites. Thanks.
Thank you much, Dennis. And that'll do it for me, but we will be on the listening in.
All right, and 73 to those stations listening that have to go as we go past the 10 o'clock hour here. We've got a couple more check-ins we want to get. Heading into double digits we are. And SWL 47, Mike jumping into the air chair here with something. I don't know what, but he has got a two-way glow-in-the-dark radio ready for us. Over.
You know, I do, but can I ask a question before I talk about this radio?
This is the Ask a Question frequency. You've come to the right place. Over.
Do we know offhand, 2 radios ago was a Cobra radio. Was it covered? Do we know where those radios were manufactured?
Oh, that is a good question. B&K Cobra. And, sometimes these places start somewhere and they get sold and they go somewhere else. But that's at B&K Precision Dynascan Corporation. Right now, I believe they are in Yorba Linda, California, but something tells me that they are also the Cobra Electronics Corporation out of Chicago, Illinois, which also had Hallicrafters and a couple of other stations like that. So worldwide, let's say it that way.
Okay, I got it. I've always found that really interesting, and I think I've at one point in time I was kind of into looking up addresses on Google Maps of these old addresses where they used to manufacture the vacuum tube radios. And it was really fun. Well, I guess to a certain degree until you realize that they stopped manufacturing CB radios and we're now doing whatever beanbag chairs or whatever. But I'll switch gears instead of being negative about that, and we'll talk about something positive. The radio I'm on right now, a Robin T123B.
Info.
The info. Go ahead and hopefully Chrissy is still listening. I will get a shot of the Robin. The birds have landed. Go ahead. Info.
1801 West Belle Plaine Avenue, Chicago, Illinois 60613.
Okay, and that's probably the address that would be tagged to that, 60s, late 60s, 70 version Cobra, not Yorba Linda. So that makes sense. Thanks, Harvey.
And now, Precision was founded in 1951 and is headquartered in, however, Yorba Linda.
Yeah, well, there you go. From Chicago, back in the day. That's what I thought. So another Chicago radio. And what was the model of Robin that you have, Mike?
This is the one that I super duper don't like using this late at night because I've got to scream into it. I'm not kidding. I think my neighbors can probably hear me talking right now. This is my my Robin T123B without the amplified mic. And with no magic eye tube, just a very small LED or perhaps neon modulation lamp that is doing practically nothing. Even though yes, I do have the range expand on. We're not going to try it without the range expand right now. But it's the 123B. Bravo.
All right, well, you've got good audio. I know it's you're speaking louder than you want to, but it actually sounds good. Maybe it's because it doesn't have the Magic Eye. Throw a Magic Eye in there somewhere and it'll behave. But it does have every other feature of the Panasonic second generation chassis that was available between external speakers, PA, what else? The modulation lights and fine-tuning RF gain, which is pretty cool. The range expand, which is on. Probably wants an overdriven amplified microphone. So you are doing your version of the Harvey Range Boost. It sounds good. The reports are in from Idaho that the dolphins are jumping. Says 1247. Thank you for letting the robins fly. So it's amazing how you can bring happiness just by keying up your old tube radio.
Well, thank you, but I think well. All the thanks really goes to you, not from this end of it. Thank you for giving us all an opportunity to use these magnificent little pieces of technology that even after all these years continues to bring me immense joy. So thank you, sir, from the Radio Lounge.
All right, and this is the forum. Obviously, they're all these radios we heard tonight are daily drivers. You can key them up anytime, but this is the forum to kind of show them off. And as we have come along the years, the 80s and 90s, the 21st century, we've added some digital trickery. And that's not to take away from the radios, but just to share our collections with the Universal Media Net web at oldtuberadio.net. And we enjoy all the listeners that come by digitally and let us know what they're doing and what kind of radios they have, where they're at. And maybe also they're good at giving us information to fix what we have. So it's a good two-way street. Radio number 10, as you heard moments ago, the Robin T123B, looking good. And when that was around the same time as the Browning Mark III from 1972 to 1976. Okay, is my computer blowing up? No, I think it's still good. I think it's just oldtuberadio.net is blowing up. All right, thank you, Mike, for bringing that by.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next we are going to the Jingle Singers. No, he's pointing to my list. We are going to radios from shortwave listener 20 from Harvey. Hello, radio.
Okay. This is the R27 S23 with the +2 desk mic. To answer a question for Joe, the neon light is hooked up to grid number 2 of the final from the modulation transformer. It splits off going to grid number 2, and at the split it also goes to the plate, but the mod light is in between the split and the grid with a couple of parts in between there, so it doesn't overload it probably, but it picks up the audio and it picks up the output, so it goes on for the output and then flickers with audio. So that's how that works.
Thanks, Harvey.
You got it. R27S23 is this one.
The original, there was Browning Laboratories, and then there was the Eagle. And this is the original Eagle R27, the receive unit, the S23, the sender, and I'm trying to get the close-up. If you were to look, and I think that is the transmitter, yes, it doesn't have the speaker, there is a silhouette, I'll call it, of an eagle's head or something. Somebody might say, what is that? That is the eagle's head. They didn't quite have the badge, applique on the front, but they did have that little eagle on the front. And so 1964, the Eagle has landed. You're sounding good. The audio is pretty good. You're right on the verge. There was a little bit of oscillation there at the beginning, so I would definitely not turn the audio up anymore, but yeah, it is sounding loud. As SWL, who was it? For SWL 8 used to say, you are loud and proud, over.
Well, if I backed off the mic, might help. Okay, I've got one more, so we'll see if anybody else is out there. And then I'll do my one more. And I thought there were some other questions, but I'm not sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and like I often do, we might have something, and I never write it down. But you are radio number 11 with the Browning Eagle R27S23, and that will give us a good chance to head over to the Singers of Jingle. We'll be right back.
Let's do some spelling. OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
Yeah, the Jingle Singers are really loud tonight. Did they rewire the microphones over there in the studio or something? Anyway, that's good. Loud is a good thing when it comes to singing the jingles. OTR is counting and amounting and listening.
One more time.
All right, do I even need to say it? The one more time frequency, I gather that there's some pinging, so let me keep my Rolodex on the Browning Laboratories Incorporated and go. I think I know where I can find this next radio. Go ahead.
Yes, you can. The R68 T68 by Browning Laboratories with the custom D104 with the medallion on the back of the microphone. This one is one of my favorites, and that'll do it for me tonight. Thank you.
All right, well, you're sounding good. You sound like you got a lot of energy going on, so that's a good thing. And the Browning Laboratories, the Golden Eagle. So the Golden Eagle, does yours have, I don't know, did they all have them, or maybe it was stuck on for the picture or they fell off, but instead of the little eagle silhouette head, you actually have a flying eagle on the speaker there. Over.
Yes, I have the flying eagle. Well, one of these days I'm going to take it off and put a flying beagle on there.
Maybe you could have them both. It's sort of like the eagle was swooping down on the beagle. Over.
There's actually room for that below the eagle, since there's no on-the-air light there on the speaker. It's up on the transmitter on air. So yeah, I could probably do that.
All right, well, good deal. We got you logged in as radio number 11 tonight. No, I'm sorry, it's radio number 12. Do some counting and amount, and it's getting late, so I appreciate everybody who's staying up late with us tonight, and hopefully, maybe, got to hear their favorite radios on what we call the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
All right, we're counting and amounting, and be back, and counting and mounting, and back in a minute. Okay, back to the control room. You can hear it as a quiet frequency tonight. There was no E-skip. The regular skip died out with the sun going down, and it didn't come back for the gray line tonight. So we are still in a good cycle 25. Those of you who are on during the day know that you can get on early in the morning and with a little finesse do some great talking to far off places. Any of you like me who are hanging out on 10 meters sometimes? I haven't heard a lot of 10 meter AM activity. A little disappointed of the 10 meter AM so far on cycle 25, but I have a feeling that it will hopefully get a little bit better. So I get my AM fix on Saturdays when I come over to the Old Tube Radio Network, because it's always good sounding and the radios are classics. So, are we ready to count an amount?
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
The current and final... Wow. The current and final totals here for the Old Tube Radio Network. And good question, Richard. Where is AM on 10 meters? Well, you know, it actually isn't even allowed on 28.3 to 28.5. And that was one of those FCC things that made me a little upset. It's like, we're not allowing this mode on that portion of the band because they thought, oh, might get some CBers up there with their AM. Come on. We know better than that. Anyway, the AM window on 10 meters is, and you can find them when they're out there at 2900, 29.00, 29 megs, right around that frequency. That's sort of the calling frequency, and go up 10 or whatever the radios are drifting from there up to about 29.1 or 29.2. When the band is really open, you'll have stations all the way up to 29.200. Above that is the FM simplex frequency and the repeaters. So listen, when the band is running, listen at 29, see if you can hear some of the great boat anchor radios. And I have talked to a couple of CB conversions. That's why a lot of the 10 meter guys like the EF Johnsons, the Cardi phones, because they are not that hard to convert up to 10 meters with a little trickery. Some of them are actually made to go on 10 meters, and at 5 or 10 watts, if the band is up, that's all you need. You can add an amplifier if you wish. Let me run down the radio list. Before I do, tonight, SWL-wise, the first radio net of 2024. We have been doing this since 1986. We are coming up on 40 years. Amazing to think, but thanks everybody. We enjoy the radio so much when it works, right? 21 SWLs check in on page 118, on page 219, on page 3, and 23 on page 4. And of course, you don't have to have a number. No secret handshakes or special hats that you wear to jump in. Say hello, radio. A total of 81 shortwave listeners and radios tonight. We had 12. The most heard manufacturer, thanks to a couple of check-ins at the end, the Browning Laboratories at 5. But some good radios nonetheless, starting off with the Hallicrafters CB3A all the way from Madeira Heights. Thanks, Jerry, for that. The Hallicrafters Radio Corporation, some great history since 1923. Between receivers, they made televisions. I've got my AM/FM portable radio, my first shortwave receiver, CB radios, transmitters, receivers, a great company, and they jumped into 11 meters and put out some great stuff, one of which we heard tonight from 1963. The Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from Sean in Sanger, putting in a good S9 signal on all the radios tonight. From EF Johnson, the Messenger 223. Their final tube radio, but a real workhorse. There's another radio if you're looking to get in your first tube radio. Look for a Johnson Messenger 223. You cannot go wrong. Radio number 4, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from Ed, followed by the Golden Eagle Mark IV from Sean in Sanger. So the final produced Browning with an Eagle name. Some of them produced, I think, put together by Browning Laboratories, and some of them maybe elsewhere. But it's a Browning. It's a Golden Eagle nonetheless. Radio number 5, the EF Johnson Messenger TWO, the workhorse from Johnson all the way through the mid-60s. Whether it's in your 6-volt, 12-volt mobile or at home. Lots of modifications on that. That'll do a 10-meter upgrade. That'll do some control carrier. Give yourself a little more than the 3.5 watt output if you dare. Radio number 7, and thank you, Joe, for the Messenger 2. Radio number 7, the Tram TR27E, the top of the line tram in the TR series, the 27E from 1963. That was followed up by the Tram Titan series. World Radio Labs, Council Bluff, Iowa, by way of Fresno. Thank you, Joe, for the World Radio Lab 7-tube It Works radio. That was number 9. Number 10, the Robin T123B. I also want to mention radio number 8, the Cobra Cam 88, with the Dynaboost circuitry in full swing, sounding good. Thank you, Sean. Mike was on the Robin T123B. That was all request radio tonight. Maybe, I don't think that was payola. I don't think Chrissy wired any money over for that. She just knew that we have some great radio operators, and if you wait long enough, if you stand by and you're patient enough on the Old Tube Radio Network, you might hear something that is your fave. Radio 11, the Browning Eagle R27S23, and the radio that followed that in 1967, 66, 67 was the Browning Golden Eagle R68T68 before the Mark II. The Mark I or the Mark none. All right, I think that's it. Thanks, everybody. Oh, you know what? I was going to try, and I hope I didn't talk too long. Sometimes I have so much fun on the radio that I forget what's on the schedule. They were waving their hands. I know. We're going to go to the Squamish uplink. I'm going to see if it'll actually come up. And if the guys are out there at 27085, let me turn up the sound. Let me turn up the volume on the Squamish. Yeah, it came up. The sound you hear is the receiver. AM 27085. And we'll give it a couple of seconds here to see if they are joining us tonight. From British Columbia, get a live check-in. Always have good radio. I'll get the picture here as well. You can see the scope.
Good evening, Dennis. 428 checking in from Squamish. Checking my old president, Madison. Like to wave a hand to everybody out there listening. And you're doing a great job, Dennis. Keep up the good work. 73s from all the boys up here in Squamish. Take care, Dennis. I'll pass it back to you. 73s, 428 will be standing by.
All right. You kick the volume down so you can hear me. Another great radio. There we go. I like the look of that radio on AM. A good 3K plus. Here's another one.
You have a good night. Happy New Year to everybody in the radio world.
All right. It has been a good 2024 so far. Hopefully you all are having a great time up there. And thanks for joining us live on the uplink from Squamish, British Columbia, Canada tonight, courtesy of Victor Echo 7 Hotel Uniform November on the uplink. And doing a good job. And I'm glad I remembered that you guys would be with us tonight. All right, the Old Tube Radio Network, I think we have done it.
77?
Oh, we've still got. We are going to make an addition. This is the bonus edition. And we've got Lucky Radio 13 online. And the fans, I think it's going to be the Cobra. The fans of Cobras will like that. Take a transmission, sir, over.
Well, no, it's not a Cobra. This is my general radio telephone, Super MC11A 24-channel tuber that glows in the dark, running this here with a handheld stock microphone. Over.
All right, the Cobra turned into a general radio telephone. The Cobra do not go away. Radio 13 from beautiful downtown Burbank. Let me bring the Rolodex up. So I told you guys not to take the Rolodex. They're bringing it back. General radio telephone. Super MC11A. The Super MC11A, of course, is because it has that ECLL 800. All right, I found the picture. Take a transmission, over.
Okay, I tried to get in there, but you got in there too quick for me. But yeah, I was dragging my butt, so you know how that goes. I was late getting in here with it, but I got it.
Yeah, yes, you did, and it's keying up fine. It sounds just as good as it always does. Over.
Well, thank you very much, and you always sound excellent, as always.
All right, it must be all that good company. Radio 13 tonight, our first general radio telephone. Thanks, Chris. That is also a fan favorite, just because It's so loud using the, let me show you, using that microphone right there, that standard teardrop shape, metal-clad CM3 microphone. And that's what I was talking about before. You don't have to collar into it. You turn the radios on, and they were built without needing anything but you and your 11 Class D license back in the day. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm sorry I was late, but I did. Anyway, I'm sorry, but I got in here.
No problem. That's my job. I get extra points by checking in as many radios as possible, of which we've got another one, Radio 14. I do believe I heard the 7 and a 7, over.
Yes, sir. Better late than never. I thought I'd slide this one in here. I couldn't just leave one Cam 88 out there standing by itself. So now you got two. And thanks for everything you do, Dennis. And I tell you what, man, Saturday nights are just so much fun with the old tube radios. Cam 88, Cobra, Dynascan Corporation, and boy, there's a lot of history with this radio, but we won't go into it. We can do that another time, and I'm sure a lot of people already know the history of it. But there it is, the old Cam 88.
Cobra Cam 88 making the mod light blink. And before you go, I'm going to have you take one transmission. I'm going to switch over. If somebody missed it the first time, I'm going to switch over to the S meter. And no, Dennis is not in my driveway with the mobile. But just this is the awesomeness of the Cobra and the station out that way. Back to you for a Hello Radio.
Well, there you go. Hello Radio. And boy, I just can't stress enough. Feed line, and put the time into the antenna, and it will pay off dividends and give you years of enjoyment on making contacts all over the world. Everybody have a great evening, 73. So once again, Dennis, thank you very much, and thanks for letting me slip this one in there.
Hey, not a problem. You know, I suppose we're always on the air as long as you go to Old Tube Radio, you go to oldtuberadio.net, and you see the glowing 6L6 tube. Now, it's a little warm. Be careful to touch it because it's been on for a couple hours. You see the glowing tube, and we are good to go. Cobra, B&K, Dynascan, Cobra, Cam 88, low in the dark radio. The wheels on the bus go round and round in a good 55. Almost pinning the 60 dB meter here. That is hard to do. A couple of the guys on 27085 will do it occasionally. But I don't even want to think the amount of power that's being ERP'd out of their antenna. So it's nice to know that a couple miles down the road locally we can do the same thing. And believe it or not, I'm sure that Dennis returns the favor when he's on the DX hunt. 73, everybody, the Old Tube Radio Network, something we do every Saturday. We try to do every Saturday on channel 11, 27085 for our local operators. If the skip happens to come in and you can check in as well, it's okay to do that now, right? The FCC threw away the limit on 150-mile radios, so it's always nice to know we can do that. Victor Alpha 3, Delta Lima, Osco, the vacuum tube radios are cool. Yeah. Talked to the British Columbia stations tonight, and of course they were sounding good. You've got a Cobra Cam 88. Need to get an Amphenol microphone connector. What are they? Let me go to the close-up. Yeah, there it is. You can see it right there. Not very good, but there's the microphonium connector that goes with it. I'm not sure if that's got some 85-volt B+ running through that or not. It might. So just be careful when you are, the 4-pin wiring things up. Man Cave Studios, North Carolina. Thank you for that. We'll check it. Check it next week. And John says that is the motor mouth mall signal. Yeah, John. I can actually hear him over the hill sometimes when he's on 6, but he sounds like backscatter. So. My meter, I'm glad I'm not in Santa Maria or wherever he's at, because my meter would be broken. 73, everybody, from your Old Tube Radio Network.
And thank you, Harvey, for all your wonderful time and energy. This radio could have never come to its flourishing if it wasn't for you. Thank you, Harvey.
You're welcome anytime.
And Dennis, what are you doing up so late?
I'll tell you another day. 73.
Okay. You be good. You stay out of trouble. I know it's hard for you to do, but take care, Dennis. And hello, Harvey.
Dennis the Menace.
All right. Be good.
Hello, Chris.
How you doing?
Trying to stay alive.
You know, there's a movie called Staying Alive. Oh, no, that's the Bee Gees. Staying Alive. Staying Alive. You know that one. All right, Harvey. You take care.
You too. Take care, Dennis. And Dennis. And just in case there's another one, Dennis.
And Harvey and Harvey and Harvey. And Harvey. Oh, yeah, and don't forget Harvey. Good night, guys. Good night, John Boy. Where's Mary Ellen at? She snuck out with Billy Bob. Oh, okay. Anyway, guys, good night out there. I'm turning this puppy off.